Hi, Kevin Wright here. I was recently interviewed by Nick Corkhill, and he asked me all the sort of questions that people normally ask about bridging when they want to find out more about it. I thought you'd like to watch the interview. Now, it's the best part of an hour long, so I've split it up into 4 different episodes, and here's the last of the 4 episodes. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that dingy belly thing so you don't miss any of the forthcoming episodes.
Okay, well, that's covered off the main questions I had.
Good.
The last little section, I think we're doing pretty well on time. You know, I think we're about 40 minutes in, something like that. Okay. The last little question was a specific consultation about one of my problems. Basically, I'm trying to get a free consultation out of you, Kevin. That's what it is. So
I think it works. It works. Let's do it.
So I'll give you the numbers. I bought a property in 2018 for £530,000, a large detached house, and I've converted it into a 9-bedroom HMO and separate 1-bedroom flat. So that's what it is now. It's doing pretty well on rent. Its market value today is around £700,000. Now, what I'd like to do is apply for planning and convert it into 12 apartments, which I believe will cost me in the region of £250,000.
And so I got as far as 700 value, 250,000 to convert it to 12 apartments.
So I'd like to spend 250k, convert it to 12 apartments, and give it a gross development value of 1.8. As I read the numbers now, and probably to some of your listeners, I'm probably being a bit optimistic on the refurb cost. Maybe 250 is low to convert this into 12 nice apartments. Let's say 300k.
Yeah, I mean, on 12 apartments, you're looking at 20 grand an apartment. You know, that could be a bit low, but yeah, okay. Yep, got the numbers. What's the question?
So the question is, would this work as a bridge? If I want to borrow the £250,000 to do the renovation work and turn it into the apartments, could I get a bridge to do that?
Okay. So
one piece of the jigsaw I haven't given you yet. I bought this property with a 25% deposit. So 25% of 530,000.
Okay, so you got a 397 mortgage.
A 397 mortgage, but we know the value's gone up. It's now worth 700,000. So the equity I'm at, that's about 50% loan to value, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thereabouts. So there's about 350 equity. If you're doing it on a calculator, it's around 350 equity.
Yep. Okay. So although you've got the equity in there, I mean, you could get a second charge bridging loan, in theory, but they're very limited on what they're going to lend on a second charge basis. So although you've got, you know, probably 300,000 of equity in there between the value difference between the mortgage and the and what it's currently worth, you've probably got no more than about 50 grand of that is usable equity. Because
I've got to retain that 25%.
Well, on the second charge, bridges go to 35% because it's risky.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So they want to retain 35% in there. So you couldn't keep your current 397 mortgage and borrow 250. Mm-hmm. What you'd have to do is you'd have to do a refurb bridge.
Yeah.
It could be a development loan, but I mean, you know, they're very similar anyway. So you would borrow 397 to pay off your mortgage.
Yeah.
And then they would lend you 100% of the 250,000.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. And then now on that basis, because they're funding the conversion, then they would roll the interest up because they're actively involved in funding the increase in value. So they can keep abreast of each time they lend you another tranche of that. So that 250 or 300,000, let's say. It might come in 4 or 5 tranches because you don't need 300,000 in your bank day one when it's probably going to take you the best part of 12 months to do a conversion like that.
So by borrowing it in different tranches, I'm only paying interest on what I've borrowed. So you don't have to borrow it all up front. I see. Okay, that makes the cost of the finance a bit lower. Yeah.
Bit low, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so you borrow 397 to get rid of your mortgage lender, so that the bridger or development lender could take a first charge, and then they'd lend you 100% of whatever it cost to convert to 12 apartments. And then once that was done, you could either refinance it onto a commercial mortgage that would give you one big mortgage for the whole 12 apartments, or you could sell them off, or a mixture of the two.
And would there be flexibility built into that? Because, you know, this is, for me, it's a big project. That'll be the biggest piece of renovation work I've done. 12 months would be nice. Realistically, probably take more like 18 months.
Yeah. So on development particularly, they allow you up to 2 years because they're dealing with bigger projects. So they would go to 2 years.
And so as those tranches of lending come in, would there be flexibility on how long I've got? You know, if things get delayed, I could take the next chunk a bit later, or if I'm going well, I can take it a bit sooner.
Yeah. I mean, you take the next chunk when you ask for it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they don't say, oh well, you're overdue. You should have had your next tranche a month ago. You ask for it when you're ready for it. So there's no time frame on the chunks. There's only to say, okay, when you get to this point, we'll give you this.
Okay, well, my current mortgage is up on this one in August 2021. So the question for me is, do I just plow ahead and do it in August 2021, or do I perhaps get another conventional mortgage for 2 years and then do it 2023?
Okay.
I'm leaning towards the latter because I've just got so much else going on. Okay. And actually, if I was going to do it this year, this August, I'd really want to have the planning application in already. You know, I'd want that.
Here are your two choices, Nick. If you think I'm not ready to do it in August, but equally I don't want to put it off for another 2 years, you could just leave it with your current lender and revert to their standard variable rate.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably going to cost you a bit more a month.
Yeah.
In monthly payments, but you counterbalance that against taking another 2-year deal and wanting out of it after a year and having to pay a redemption penalty.
Yeah, and it's not a million miles off, to be honest, the standard variable rate. This one, when we set it up, we didn't get the best rate in the world, but that means the drop off to the standard variable rate, you're only talking about another 0.75 or 1% anyway. So yeah.
So you don't have to refinance with the same or a different mortgage lender to get yourself another deal. You can always sit on the standard variable rate for a few months. So let's say you thought, well, at the very least, I'm going to apply for planning this summer, and I'm going to put all that in. It might take 6 months, so I'll just sit on standard variable rate. If the planning gets through in 2022, I want to crack on with it during 2022. Whereas if you say, no, I want to jump into another 2-year deal with redemption penalties, then you're effectively saying, unless I want to incur those redemption penalties, I'm going to roll this project back to 2023. Neither's wrong or right. It's just whichever one suits you best.
Absolutely, yeah. It's whether you value flexibility or certainty. In 6 months on their standard variable rate, it's probably going to be a difference of a couple of £100 a month, maybe £300 a month, something like that. So yeah, it's not huge. Okay, well, that's fantastic. That's given me a huge amount to think about. I think, you know, when people get into buy-to-let property investment, there's so much attention goes on searching for the assets. That seems to be the first thing people become addicted to. Get on Rightmove, trawl through loads and loads of properties. But actually this part, the financial planning and getting into the intricacies and the strategic side of it, is hugely important. You've got to get this element right, or, you know, the rest, the interior design and the kind of searching Rightmove, in some ways, is secondary. This is what powers the whole thing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, pretty much every project hangs on how you finance it. Pretty much.
Yeah. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I'll continue subscribing. I've worn my t-shirt today, so if people want to subscribe to Smarter Property, then I'd be happy for them to do that as well. All right.
Excellent. Really enjoyed the chat with you, Nick.
All right. Cheers, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. So what did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And hey, remember to click that subscribe button.